Hey guys, tonight we're stepping back in time, back into the quiet world of the Medieval Scriptorium. Picture it. You walk into a dimly lit room, the cool morning air still lingering in the corners, but slowly warming as the first rays of sunlight break through the small windows. The light dances on the wooden floors, flickering across the rough-hewn tables stacked with parchment and ink pots. There's a certain smell to this place, isn't there? A mix of ink, old wood, and something faintly musty, the scent of parchment, aged by years of use. You may never have realized it, but that smell is almost like a time machine, transporting you to a place where every word was crafted by hand, painstakingly formed with each stroke of a quill. And, believe me, you probably won't survive the day without a serious appreciation for how many hours these scribes spent hunched over their desks, their hands cramping in the service of the written word. But before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time, just so I can see where everyone's tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The Scriptorium begins to wake up slowly. The early morning light trickles in, turning the dust motes that float in the air into tiny, shimmering specks. It's quiet, so quiet you could almost hear the world outside. Yet there's a sort of vibrancy to the silence, a hum that is barely perceptible, like the room itself is alive with purpose. You probably hear the faint creak of wooden beams shifting under their own weight as the building settles into the day. In the far corner, a fire crackles quietly in a hearth, its warmth adding a subtle glow to the stone walls. The only other sounds are the soft shuffling of robes and the occasional cough or murmur as the monks and scribes begin their work. There's a strange peace in this space, a calm that permeates everything it touches. And yet, beneath this calm, there's an undercurrent of anticipation, the promise of something created from nothing. The birth of ideas onto parchment. The quills are already out, resting in their ink pots, ready to be dipped. You can almost feel the rhythm of the work as it begins to unfold. The sound of a quill scratching against the parchment is the heartbeat of this place. It's not a hurried sound, but a steady, deliberate one. You can almost hear it as it cuts through the silence, a soft, repetitive whisper of work being done. It's a simple thing, really. A quill, ink, and parchment. But these materials are the very fabric of knowledge in this world. The words they create will not only preserve history, they will be history. You watch as a scribe dips his quill into the ink, carefully, methodically, as though each drop is precious, as though it could hold the secrets of the world. And maybe it does. You inhale deeply. The smell of the ink, the parchment, the wax seals, it's all part of the ritual. The air smells old, and you can almost imagine how it might feel to hold these manuscripts in your hands, as if you were part of this tradition yourself. As you look around, you notice the Scriptorium is not a place of chaotic bustle, but rather one of intense focus and calm. Each scribe, apprentice, and monk moves with purpose. Their eyes are fixed on their work, their hands steady as they form each letter. The task at hand demands their full attention. There's no room for distraction. In a place like this, a mistake could mean the difference between preserving knowledge or losing it forever. They don't just write, they preserve history. It's a sacred duty, one that carries with it a weight of responsibility that you can feel in the air. The master scribe, a man of quiet authority, walks into the room, his robe sweeping the floor as he moves. He doesn't need to say much. His presence commands respect. There's a palpable shift in the room as he takes his place at his desk, adjusting the scrolls in front of him. You can almost hear the silent acknowledgement from the others. They know what it means to be in his presence. The room, despite its calm, becomes charged with purpose. The master scribe is the keeper of the tradition, the one who ensures that each stroke of the quill is perfect, that every word is written with the utmost care. His eyes scan the pages, checking for mistakes, his fingers lightly brushing over the parchment as if he's testing for errors. There's a quiet pride in the way he handles the manuscripts, a reverence that shows in every movement. And then there are the novices. Their hands shake as they take their first tentative steps into this world of written word. You watch one apprentice fumble with his quill, dipping it too far into the ink, causing a small blot to form on the edge of the parchment. His cheeks flush with embarrassment. But the master scribe says nothing. Instead, he gestures for the apprentice to try again, to learn from the mistake. The novice has so much to learn: how to hold the quill just right, how to form each letter with precision, how to recognize the importance of each word. It's not a skill that comes easily, but in time, they'll become part of the tradition too, their hands steady, their strokes sure. Hours pass in this quiet, timeless space, and as you watch, the day unfolds around you. There's no rush here. Move slowly, methodically, as though each second is as important as the last. The scribes work in unison, their quills scratching, the ink drying, the parchment absorbing the weight of their thoughts. You get the sense that they are all part of something larger, something that will endure long after they've passed. The works they create will become the foundation for future generations, for kings, for scholars, for common folk alike. They may not know it, but they are creating something immortal. You can hear the soft murmur of monks speaking in Latin as they read aloud from the manuscripts. The words are familiar but distant, a language that holds the weight of centuries. It's not just the act of writing that's sacred, it's the very act of preserving knowledge, of ensuring that future generations will have access to the words and ideas of those who came before. The work of a scribe isn't just about copying words, it's about interpreting them, making them your own. The text is never just a series of letters and words. It's a living, breathing entity, one that carries with it the weight of history. Each manuscript is a piece of the past, and each scribe is a part of that legacy. Historians still argue whether the scribes were the true bearers of knowledge in the medieval world, or if they were simply tools used by the powerful to control the flow of information. Either way, the scribes' role in society is undeniable. They are the gatekeepers, the ones who determine what survives and what is lost. And that's a responsibility you can feel in the air. As the sun sets outside, casting long shadows across the room, the scriptorium begins to quiet down. The scribes are still working, but their movements are slower now, their eyes growing heavy with fatigue. The ink pots are nearly empty, the parchment nearly used up. The work of the day is almost complete. You can hear the sound of chairs scraping across the floor as the monks stand and stretch, their backs sore from hours hunched over their desks. The fire in the hearth crackles, sending a soft warmth into the room. The scribes exchange quiet words, some about the day's work, others about the world outside. But mostly, the silence settles back in. It's a silence that speaks volumes, a silence that carries with it the weight of everything that has been created in this space. As the last scribe leaves for the night, the room is left in darkness, save for the flickering of the fire. But the manuscripts remain. They don't sleep, They don't rest, they simply wait, ready to carry on the work of those who came before. You leave the Scriptorium, stepping out into the cool night air, the sounds of the outside world creeping back in, but something stays with you, doesn't it? The quiet of the Scriptorium, the smell of ink and parchment, the feeling that something important has just happened, even though you can't quite put your finger on it. It's a feeling that lingers, as timeless as the words written on those ancient pages. You settle deeper into your seat as the day at the Scriptorium progresses, and there's something hypnotic about it, isn't there? The quiet rhythm of quills dipping into ink, the soft rustle of parchment as it's carefully turned, the flicker of candles casting long shadows across the room. The entire space feels as though it's caught between two worlds, one of sacred silence, the other of deep concentration. This is not a place for idle chatter. No, here, everything has a purpose. Every motion is deliberate, every breath a part of the work. You can almost hear the air itself humming in time with the scribes, each one lost in their world of ink and parchment. The master scribe moves through the room, his eyes sharp and focused, gliding past the novices, offering a quiet word of encouragement or critique. His authority is subtle but powerful, and it's clear that he's the one who holds the knowledge, the one who has mastered the art of writing by hand. You can't help but notice how much pride he takes in his work, how carefully he handles each manuscript, as though it's more than just a book, it's a piece of the divine. And perhaps, in this world, it is. There's a strange magic to the way the light moves across the pages, don't you think? The way the ink shines just so under the flickering candlelight, casting tiny reflections on the worn surface of the desk. It's almost as if the words themselves are alive, as though they're waiting for the right moment to reveal their secrets. But the scribe doesn't rush. No, there's no rushing here. In a world where every letter is carefully formed, where each word is an intricate dance of the mind and the hand, time slows. You can almost feel yourself slowing down, sinking deeper into the rhythm of it all. The Scriptorium is timeless, and in this moment, so are you. It's as though the world outside has faded away, replaced by the soft sound of quills scratching against parchment, and the quiet murmur of monks discussing theology in hushed tones. This place is a sanctuary of thought, where every stroke of the quill is a meditation, every word a prayer. Of course, not everyone who enters the Scriptorium is destined for greatness. For every master scribe, there are dozens of novices, apprentices, young men and women who have come to learn the ancient art of writing. They are the future of this craft, the ones who will carry the torch forward when the masters are gone. But it's not an easy road, and you can see it in their faces as they struggle to form their first letters. The parchment trembles slightly in their hands, their quills hovering uncertainly over the ink pots. You can almost hear their inner monologue. Am I doing this right? What if I make a mistake? And mistakes do happen. In fact, they're a common part of this process. But in the Scriptorium, there's no room for error. Every letter, every word must be perfect. There's no undo. But in the medieval world, no second chances. A mistake is not just a blemish on the page, it's a blemish on the work itself. And if you're caught making a mistake, well, that's a matter of great shame. Mistakes are not easily forgiven here. But the novices know this. They've been taught to be patient with their work, to treat each manuscript with reverence. They're learning that the act of writing is not just a physical task, it's a spiritual one. And slowly, as the hours pass, their hands begin to steady. The trembling fades. The quills move more sure, the strokes more confident. The sounds of the scriptorium are comforting, aren't they? The occasional scrape of a quill on parchment, the soft murmur of Latin as the monks chant or read aloud, the slow and steady flow of time itself. In this place, the world moves at a different pace. Time doesn't rush, it lingers, stretches, and folds into itself. And in the midst of this timeless rhythm, you find that the work of the scribe is almost hypnotic. It's a meditative act, a quiet conversation between the writer and the page. The words, after all, are not just marks on paper. They're ideas, thoughts, beliefs. They are the essence of human experience. And in this tiny, silent room, the scribes are tasked with preserving them for posterity. It's a sacred duty, one that carries with it the weight of generations. But there's a peculiar thing about the Scriptorium, something that only those who have spent time here would understand. It's the way that knowledge is shared, or rather, how it isn't shared. In a world before the printing press, the written word was scarce. A single manuscript could take months, sometimes even years, to complete. And each manuscript was a treasure, a rare and valuable commodity. So, while knowledge was passed down through the written word, it was also carefully guarded. The monks and scribes who worked here were part of an exclusive club, one where the exchange of ideas was often slow, deliberate, and controlled. You might think that in a place so dedicated to the spread of knowledge, there would be open discussion, vibrant debates, and the free flow of ideas. But that wasn't the case. Oh no. Knowledge was carefully curated, passed from one scribe to another only when deemed necessary. You can almost hear the whispers now, can't you? The hushed conversations in the corners of the room, the occasional glance exchanged between scribes as they pass manuscripts between each other. It's all part of the secretive nature of the Scriptorium. But that doesn't mean the scribes are without humor. Oh no, there's plenty of dry wit and subtle sarcasm in the air. The occasional joke is passed around between the novices and the older scribes, jokes that are whispered just loud enough for you to hear, but not loud enough to draw the master scribe's attention. It's a world that's serious, yet still has room for a little levity. After all, the work they do is sacred. But even the most devout scribes need a laugh now and then. As you continue to watch, the hours seem to slip by unnoticed. The quills continue to scratch against the parchment. The candles burn low, and the air grows heavier with the scent of ink and parchment. There's a strange sense of calm in the Scriptorium. It's as though the outside world doesn't exist. Here, there's no war, no plague, no politics. There's only the work, the ink, the quill, and the parchment. And in this moment, it's enough. The world beyond these walls may be chaotic, but here, in this sacred space, there is order. Every manuscript that's written, every word that's inscribed, is a small act of resistance against the chaos outside. It's a testament to human perseverance, to our ability to create meaning and preserve it for future generations. And that's what makes the Scriptorium so special, isn't it? It's a place where time itself seems to stop, where the only thing that matters is the work being done in that moment. As you sit back and take it all in, you realize that this quiet, forgotten world has its own rhythm, its own heartbeat. It's a rhythm that's been passed down through centuries, one that's been maintained by the monks, the scribes, and the apprentices who came before you. It's a rhythm that continues, even now, in the quiet rooms of libraries and archives, in the hands of those who continue the work of preserving knowledge. And though the world has changed, though the methods of preserving knowledge have evolved, the essence of the Scriptorium remains. The handwritten word, the feel of ink on parchment, the slow, deliberate rhythm of writing, it's all still there, echoing through time. As the day in the Scriptorium stretches on, the light outside grows softer, casting a golden hue over the room. You can almost feel the change in the air, the way the temperature shifts as the sun begins its slow descent. The flickering candlelight casts dancing shadows across the walls, making the ancient stones seem alive with stories. And though the scribes continue their work without pause, you can sense the subtle shift in their focus. It's as if they've been transported into a different world, a world where the words on the page are the only things that exist. The surrounding world might be chaotic, but here, in the stillness of the Scriptorium, there is nothing but calm, a quiet sanctuary where thoughts become tangible. You see one of the novice scribes dip his quill again, a deliberate motion, and it strikes you just how much attention these scribes give to every single letter, every single word. To them, each mark on the parchment holds meaning beyond its simple form. They are creating not just text, but a bridge to the past, a vessel for knowledge that will sail through the years, centuries even, to someone who will need it in the future. It's a feeling of responsibility that hangs thick in the air, and you begin to wonder just how much these scribes understand their importance. Do they truly know that their work is more than a job? That they are the gatekeepers of history? The hands that mold the very words that will one day shape the future? You watch as the master scribe moves through the room again, silently inspecting each manuscript with the keen eye of someone who has seen it all. His movements are measured, deliberate, his fingers gently gliding over the parchment as though testing its texture, its readiness to carry the ink. There's a deep focus in his eyes, a quiet intensity that's almost palpable. He pauses at one of the novices' desks, his gaze narrowing slightly as he examines the work. The young scribe, nervous under the master's gaze, straightens up a little, holding his breath as he awaits feedback. The master scribe says nothing at first, letting the silence stretch between them, before offering a single word of correction. "Steady," he mutters, his voice low but firm. "Your hand is too quick. Every letter should take its time. Make it count." The young scribe nods, his face a mixture of relief and determination. He picks up his quill once more, slower this time, more deliberate. You can see the subtle transformation in his posture as he begins to understand the weight of what he's been tasked with. This isn't just about copying words. It's about respecting the craft, respecting the material, and understanding that every stroke of the quill is a part of something greater than himself. The master scribe, satisfied for now, moves on, and the room returns to its rhythmic quiet. But there's an energy in the air, a sort of collective focus that can only exist in a space like this, where everyone is committed to the same purpose. But the work is not without its frustrations. Every now and then, you catch a glimpse of a novice's face, twisted in frustration, his brow furrowed as he stares at the parchment, a quill hovering above it. His hand trembles slightly as he tries to form a letter just right, the shape not coming out as he intended. He sighs softly, dips the quill again, and starts over. But you can tell he's beginning to feel the weight of the task. The pressure is mounting, the pressure to get it right, to create something perfect. And you realize, in that moment, just how much patience and perseverance this work requires. The scribes are not just copying letters. They are, in a sense, creating a new world with each word they write. They are bringing something into existence, and with that comes a responsibility to ensure it's done correctly. They are not just writers. They are architects of knowledge, building a structure that will endure long after they've gone. But even the most experienced scribe has moments of doubt. Even the master, with all his years of practice, has moments when the ink doesn't flow as easily as it should, when the parchment feels too stiff, too resistant to his quill. You see him pause for a moment, his eyes fixed on the page, his lips moving as if speaking silently to himself. And then, with a deep breath, he begins again, his hand steady and sure. It's a reminder that even the best have their struggles. But it's also a reminder that, in this space, those struggles are a part of the process, a necessary part of the work. The frustration, the setbacks, the mistakes, they are all part of the journey, and they serve to make the finished product that much more valuable. As the day wears on, the light outside continues to fade, the sun dipping lower and lower until it's just a faint glimmer on the horizon. Inside, the atmosphere shifts once again. The scribes are no longer working with the same urgency they had earlier in the day. Their movements have slowed, become more measured, almost ritualistic. The pace of the room is quieter now, more contemplative. It's as though the act of writing has become a kind of prayer, a sacred ritual that requires deep concentration and reverence. The scribes are not just making words, they are creating something that will live beyond them, something that will outlast their own lives. And you can sense it in the air, the reverence, the gravity of the task at hand. Every letter they write is part of a larger conversation, a conversation that stretches across time and space. The words on the parchment are not just for the present, they are meant for the future, for generations yet to come. And in this moment, you can feel the weight of that responsibility pressing down on the scribes, even though they may not fully understand it. They are doing something that will last, something that will echo through the ages. But there's also a certain beauty to it, isn't there? The way the words seem to flow from the quill so effortlessly, the way the ink glistens on the page like tiny droplets of liquid gold. The manuscripts in progress are becoming something more than just written text. They are works of art, intricate and beautiful in their own right. The margins are decorated with elaborate designs, tiny flourishes of gold leaf and vibrant colors that make the pages come alive. Each manuscript is a masterpiece in its own right, a fusion of art and intellect, of faith and creativity. It's hard not to be awed by the sheer skill it takes to create something like this. The scribes are not just recording information. They are making the information beautiful, breathing life into it. The ink on the page becomes a living thing, carrying with it the energy of the scribe who wrote it, the spirit of the words themselves. And yet, for all the beauty and artistry that fills the scriptorium, there is an underlying tension, a pressure, that hovers in the air like a storm cloud. The scribes are acutely aware of the gravity of their work. They know that what they write today may be the foundation for future knowledge, that the words they inscribe may one day be read by someone else, someone far in the future who will find meaning in them. And so, they write carefully, thoughtfully, with the utmost precision. Every stroke, every letter, every word carries with it the weight of history. They are creating something that will endure, something that will be remembered. It's not just a job, it's a calling. And in that calling, there is both beauty and burden. As the final light of day disappears, the scriptorium grows quiet once more. The scribes are finishing their work, carefully putting away their quills, tidying their desks, and gathering their manuscripts. The candles flicker low, casting long shadows across the room. The fire in the hearth burns steadily, providing the only warmth in the growing chill of the evening. The air is thick with the smell of ink and parchment, and as you sit there, you realize that this place, the Scriptorium, will always exist in the same quiet, unhurried way. The work may change, the scribes may come and go, but the pace of time here is unyielding, a reminder that some things are meant to endure. In the end, that's what makes this place so special, isn't it? It's not just about the work that's done. Here it's about the timelessness of it all. The way that the written word carries on, generation after generation. And though the scribes may leave, their work remains, a testament to their dedication, their patience, and their belief in the power of the written word. The evening continues to settle in the Scriptorium, and a gentle calm washes over you. There's something profoundly soothing about this space, isn't there? The flickering candlelight creates long, stretched shadows, and the quiet sound of parchment rustling as manuscripts are placed gently on wooden tables is almost hypnotic. You feel the weight of time pressing down upon you, the centuries of knowledge and dedication woven into every manuscript. It's a feeling that's hard to describe, this sense that you are a part of something much bigger than yourself, something that transcends the walls of this room, something that stretches out through history and into the future. You're surrounded by the work of those who have come before you, and you realize, in this quiet moment, how important their work was. These scribes, these monks, these artisans of the written word, they were the ones who preserved the knowledge of their time. They were the gatekeepers of civilization, tasked with ensuring that the stories of the past wouldn't be lost to the ravages of time. Without their dedication, we might never have had access to the texts, the manuscripts, the philosophies that shaped our world. It's a humbling thought, and as you sit there, watching the scribes work, you can almost feel their presence, their hands moving over the parchment, their quills scratching out the words that will endure for centuries. The work they do is not just an act of creation, it's an act of preservation. Every word they write, every letter they form, is a link in a chain that connects the past to the future. And as you witness it, you begin to understand the importance of their work on a deeper level. These scribes aren't just writing. They are building a bridge that will carry the knowledge of the past to the generations that follow. You look around at the scene before you, the monks working in silence, their heads bent low over their manuscripts, the apprentices moving carefully between desks, checking their work, and the master scribe walking with quiet authority, inspecting each manuscript with the precision of someone who has devoted his life to the craft. The Scriptorium is a place of order, a place where chaos is kept at bay by the steady hand of the scribe. There's a rhythm to this space, a kind of unspoken harmony that permeates everything. The way the quills move over the parchment, the way the ink flows in perfect lines, the way the candles flicker and dance, it all seems so perfectly orchestrated, so intentional. There is no room for error here. Each stroke of the quill must be perfect. Every word must be carefully considered. A single mistake could mean the loss of an entire manuscript, an entire work of knowledge. And yet, despite the weight of that responsibility, there's a kind of peace here. A serenity that comes from knowing that every scribe in this room is doing their part, playing their role in the greater story of human history. As you watch the scribes at work, you notice something remarkable. It's the way they don't seem to rush, the way they move with such calm and deliberation. In a world where everything is fast, where time slips away in the blink of an eye, there's something almost otherworldly about the pace of life in the Scriptorium. Here, time moves differently. There is no clock ticking, no deadline pressing down on the scribes. There is only the work, and the work is sacred. The scribes are not just copying words, they are giving life to them. They are breathing life into history, into ideas, into the very fabric of civilization. Each manuscript they write is an act of creation, a manifestation of their devotion to the written word. It's as if, in this room, the scribes have discovered a secret rhythm of the universe, one that allows them to slow time, to transcend the constraints of the world outside. There's no rush, there's no hurry. There's only the steady rhythm of the quill, the quiet rustling of parchment, and the hum of concentration that fills the air. But it's not all serene and peaceful. You see the occasional scribe struggle with their work, their brow furrowed. In concentration, their hand trembling slightly as they try to perfect a letter. It's a subtle thing, this struggle, but it's there. And it's a reminder that, despite the tranquility of the Scriptorium, the work is not without its challenges. The scribe's craft is not an easy one. It requires a steady hand, a keen eye, and a deep well of patience. And even the most experienced scribe makes mistakes. There's a strange kind of tension in the room when that happens, a brief moment of uncertainty. A tiny hesitation before the mistake is corrected, the quill wiped clean, and the work resumed. It's a moment that seems almost out of place in the otherwise peaceful Scriptorium, but it's a reminder that perfection is an illusion. Even in this sacred space, mistakes happen. But it's how the scribes deal with those mistakes that's important. They don't panic. They don't throw the manuscript aside in frustration. Instead, they pause, take a deep breath, and move forward with renewed focus. The mistake becomes part of the process, a stepping stone on the way to something greater. And then there's the matter of the manuscripts themselves. They are more than just words on parchment. They are treasures, each one a work of art in its own right. You see one of the scribes carefully illuminating a page, his brush sweeping across the parchment in delicate strokes of gold and blue. The light catches the gilded edges, making the manuscript shimmer in the candlelight. The intricate designs, the ornate flourishes, and the detailed illustrations, all of it comes together to create something truly magnificent. You can't help but marvel at the level of craftsmanship involved in the creation of these manuscripts. It's not just about the words, it's about the artistry, the care, the attention to detail. Each manuscript is a reflection of the scribe's soul, a manifestation of their dedication to the craft. And in that sense, the work they do here is almost sacred. It's not just a job, it's a calling, a devotion to the preservation of knowledge. And the beauty of the written word, as the hours slip by, you begin to notice something else, something that's both subtle and profound. It's the quiet sense of community that exists within the Scriptorium. The scribes may be working alone, their heads bent over their manuscripts, their minds focused on the task at hand, but there is a palpable sense of solidarity in the air. They are all united by the same purpose, the same goal, to preserve knowledge, to create something that will endure. They may not speak to each other often, but there is an unspoken bond between them, a shared understanding of the importance of their work, and you begin to understand something fundamental about the nature of this place. The Scriptorium is not just a room filled with people writing, it's a community. A group of individuals who have come together to contribute to something greater than themselves. They are part of a lineage, a long line of scribes who have dedicated themselves to the same cause. And as the night draws on, the sense of unity grows stronger. The scribes work in harmony, each one contributing to the greater whole, each one playing their part in the ongoing story of human civilization. Outside, the night has fully descended, and the moon hangs high in the sky, casting a pale glow over the stone walls of the Scriptorium. But inside, the work continues. The scribes are still at their desks, their quills scratching softly against the parchment, the ink drying in steady, deliberate strokes. The air is thick with the scent of ink and parchment, and the fire in the hearth crackles gently, casting long shadows across the room. It's a scene that could have existed centuries ago, a scene that feels timeless, eternal even. And in that moment, as you sit in the quiet of the Scriptorium, watching the scribes work, you realize that this place, this sacred space, will continue to exist. Long after the scribes have gone, the manuscripts they have created will endure, carrying with them the knowledge and wisdom of generations. The work of the scribe is never truly finished. It's a work that continues from one generation to the next, from one scribe to the next, always moving forward, always preserving the written word for the future. Asterisk. The Scriptorium, now shrouded in the stillness of the night, seems like a living entity, a space where the past and future converge in the quiet scratch of quills on parchment. The light from the flickering candles casts long shadows across the manuscripts laid out on the desks, their fragile pages holding the weight of history in every letter. The room, though dim, is alive with the soft hum of concentration. Time itself seems to be in a slow, deliberate dance here, unaffected by the world outside. As the scribes continue their work, you can almost feel the deep connection between them and the manuscripts they create. Every stroke of the quill is a part of their soul poured onto the page. You see a young novice, now more at ease with his quill, lean over his manuscript, eyes narrowed in intense focus. His hand moves steadily across the parchment, forming each letter with care, as if he knows the weight that each mark carries. It's no longer about simple practice, it's about creating something that will outlast him, something that will carry his spirit, his thoughts, long after his own time has passed. You watch as the quill glides across the page, a dance of ink and parchment, a rhythm that feels eternal. The novice doesn't glance up from his work, lost in the quiet cadence of the Scriptorium. His movements have become fluid, a testament to the hours of practice he's endured. There is a calm focus in his demeanor, one that shows how much he has grown since his first trembling steps into this sacred space. The master scribe, too, is absorbed in his task, though his experience allows him a level of detachment from the pressure that the young apprentice feels. You see him pause for a moment, his fingers lightly grazing the edge of a manuscript that has been carefully laid out in front of him. He inhales deeply, the scent of the parchment filling his lungs. And then, with a deep sigh, he picks up his quill and begins again, his hand moving with the precision of years of practice. He's not rushing. In fact, there is no hurry here. Every movement, every stroke of the quill is deliberate. He's not just creating letters, he's creating meaning, crafting something that will carry its weight across centuries. His eyes flick back and forth between the text and his own writing, ensuring that the words on the page are perfect, not just in form, but in purpose. Each manuscript is more than just a book. It's a gateway, a portal to understanding, to wisdom. The master scribe knows this, and he treats each page as though it is sacred. The silence in the Scriptorium becomes even more profound as you watch him work, as though the very air is holding its breath, waiting for him to finish, to complete his task. You feel the weight of the room's atmosphere settle around you, thick, with the centuries of dedication that have been poured into this place. Each manuscript, each work of art, is a reflection of the scribe's soul, a piece of them that will live on long after they're gone. The very act of writing is a form of immortality, isn't it? You see it in the way the scribes treat their work, in the reverence they have for the written word. The manuscript is not just a tool for communication, it's a vessel for knowledge, a sacred artifact that carries the weight of history. And it's in this sacred space that the scribes pour themselves into their work, preserving the thoughts, the philosophies, the prayers, the teachings of the past. The Scriptorium is a place where knowledge is not just copied, but celebrated. A place where the written word becomes a living, breathing entity, infused with the essence of its creators. As the night wears on, the atmosphere in the Scriptorium shifts once again. The air grows heavier, thicker with the scent of ink and parchment, and the flickering candles cast soft pools of light on the wooden tables. The fire in the hearth crackles and pops, sending little embers spiraling into the air. It's warm here, but not oppressive, just a soft, gentle heat that wraps itself around you like a comforting blanket. You watch as one of the novice scribes takes a break, wiping his brow with the back of his hand, his face flushed with the effort of the long hours he's put in. He looks over at his fellow scribes, and for a moment there's a shared glance. Between them, an unspoken acknowledgement of the work they're doing. There is no need for words here. They understand each other perfectly. The work is hard, yes, but it is also a form of devotion, a calling that each of them has chosen to answer. And so, despite the fatigue that must be setting in, they continue, driven by something deeper than the simple need for rest. The young scribe takes a deep breath, his eyes moving back to his manuscript. You can see the way his gaze softens as he picks up his quill again, his hand more confident now than it was when he first entered the Scriptorium. The pressure he once felt seems to have melted away, replaced by a calm acceptance of the task at hand. Writing is no longer a chore for him, it's a meditation, a way of connecting to something greater than himself. He's no longer just copying words, he's participating in a tradition that stretches back for centuries. His work will be added to the tapestry of knowledge that has been painstakingly crafted over generations. Each manuscript he writes will contribute to the collective understanding of the world. In that moment, you realize that this is more than just a job. It's a life's work. This is not a profession that can be mastered in a single year, a single decade. It takes a lifetime to truly perfect the art of the scribe, and even then, the work never ends. There will always be more manuscripts to write, more knowledge to preserve. The scribe's work is never truly done. And then, as you watch the room quiet once more, a sense of calm washes over you. The scribes continue their work, each one absorbed in their task, their hands steady, their focus unbroken. There is something so peaceful about this space, so serene. It's a place where time itself seems to slow down, where the world outside fades away, and all that matters is the work being done in this room. The world may be full of noise and chaos, but here there is only silence, only the quiet scratch of quills on parchment. And as the fire in the hearth flickers and the candlelight casts soft shadows on the walls, you can almost feel the weight of history pressing down on you, reminding you that what these scribes are doing is not just important for them, important for all of us. They are the guardians of knowledge, the keepers of the written word. The work they do in this room, in this scriptorium, will live on long after they've gone. The manuscripts they create will carry their legacy into the future, ensuring that the knowledge of the past is never lost, that it continues to be passed down, generation after generation. And in this quiet, sacred space, they are doing something that will outlast them, something that will endure forever. The Scriptorium, with all its quiet intensity and gentle rhythm, is a place where time stands still, where the written word becomes more than just ink on parchment. It becomes a connection to the past, a thread that ties the present to the future. And as you sit there, watching the scribes work, you realize that their work is not just about writing, it's about preserving the very essence of human knowledge, of human experience. The manuscripts they create will become a part of history, a part of the ongoing story of humanity. And in this timeless, peaceful space, that story continues to unfold, one quill stroke at a time. The candles have burned low, casting an amber glow that flickers and dances across the scriptorium's walls, and a deep sense of tranquility seems to have settled over the entire room. The scribes, their hands poised above parchment, continue their work in silence, their minds fully absorbed in the task before them. The space around you feels almost sacred now, as if every breath you take is infused with the stillness of centuries past. The rhythmic scratching of quills against parchment is the only sound that fills the air, each stroke creating a quiet symphony, each movement an affirmation of the age-old devotion to the craft. You notice the small details, the slight way a scribe adjusts their posture, leaning forward as the parchment curls slightly beneath their touch. How another adjusts the candle in front of them to ensure the light falls just so. It's these subtle actions, these almost imperceptible shifts, that make the Scriptorium feel alive with purpose. In the corners of the room, the faint hum of conversation from the older scribes mentoring the apprentices is a comforting background noise, as if the space itself is gently holding them in its embrace, guiding them into the way of the written word. There's a sense of continuity here, a timelessness that stretches far beyond the present moment. You can almost feel the echoes of the monks and scribes who have worked in this very room for generations, each one leaving their mark, each one contributing a little more to the vast, ever-expanding tapestry of written history. As the night grows deeper, the warmth of the fire in the hearth becomes more pronounced, though the Scriptorium retains its cool, dry atmosphere, perfect for preserving the delicate parchment. The flicker of flames dances in the quiet corners of the room, but it is not the fire that commands attention. Rather, it is the deep, almost meditative concentration of the scribes. Each one is so engrossed in their work that the world outside seems to cease to exist for them. There are no distractions here. The scribes are untethered from the rush and noise of the world beyond, each of them completely immersed in the singular act of writing, which has become, over the years, second nature. The quills glide smoothly, their tips tracing out letters that will, in turn, carry the wisdom of the past into the future. The ink, black and rich, glistens on the parchment, leaving behind not just words, but an imprint of the scribe's very soul. It is a delicate balance of mind and body, ink and parchment, as the scribe moves from one page to the next. You look across the room and see a more seasoned scribe, one who has clearly spent many years perfecting his craft. He sits in perfect stillness, his eyes narrow and focused on the manuscript before him. His hand is steady, his motions fluid, as though he and the page are one. There is no hesitation in his movements, no uncertainty. His quill moves with purpose, creating perfect lines of script that are more than just words, they are his legacy. With each careful stroke, he is continuing a tradition, an ancient practice that has been passed down through generations, preserved, through countless hours of dedication. His work, when completed, will carry not only the message he's transcribing, but also the essence of his experience, his training, his very being. This is more than just copying words, it's about passing on knowledge, about continuing a cycle that has been in place for centuries. The scribe's legacy will live on long after the manuscript is finished, a testament to his devotion to the written word and to the preservation of knowledge. You realize, as you observe the quiet sanctity of this place, that there is something deeply profound about the nature of writing here. It's not just an act of transcription, it's an act of devotion. The scribes, in their deliberate and careful movements, are performing a kind of sacred ritual. The written word is treated with reverence, and the act of writing is seen as an offering, a contribution to the greater good. Each manuscript that is completed adds to the collective store of human knowledge. There is no rush here, no sense of urgency. It is a slow, deliberate process, one that requires patience, focus, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. In a world that moves ever faster, the Scriptorium is a place where time seems to slow down. The days are measured not in hours or minutes, but in the steady progress of ink on parchment. And while the outside world may be changing rapidly, inside this room, nothing has changed. The scribes continue their work, each one adding their own chapter to a book that will never be finished, a story that will continue to unfold, one manuscript at a time. As the night grows late, the scribes continue, their quills scraping across the parchment in steady, rhythmic motions. You can see the weariness in some of their eyes, the small signs of fatigue that come from hours of intense focus. But there is no complaint, no grumbling. The work is its own reward, a labor of love that brings them a sense of fulfillment. Even the young novices, who at first might have been intimidated by the immensity of the task ahead, now move with greater confidence, their hands steady as they write. The pressure of perfection still weighs on them, but they have come to understand that the only way forward is through practice, through persistence. Their mistakes have become less frequent, and with each page they complete, their understanding of the craft deepens. They are no longer simply copying the words. They are becoming a part of the tradition, inheriting the mantle of those who have come before them. You notice, too, that the atmosphere of the Scriptorium has shifted ever so slightly. The air, once thick with concentration, now carries with it a sense of camaraderie, of shared purpose. The scribes are no longer solitary figures, lost in their own work. They are a community, united by the common goal of preserving knowledge. The master scribe, ever watchful, moves from one novice to the next, offering a quiet word of encouragement, a subtle correction here and there. The apprentices, no longer feeling the weight of their own mistakes, begin to support one another, offering a glance of reassurance when one of them falters. The room, which at first seemed so vast and imposing, now feels like a place of quiet. Collaboration. The scribes, young and old, are all working toward the same end, creating something that will last beyond their own lifetimes. And as you sit there, taking it all in, you realize something profound. The work being done here is not just about the manuscripts. It's about something much larger, something that transcends the pages of parchment and the strokes of quills. This is about the preservation of knowledge, yes, but it is also about the preservation of a way of life, a way of thinking. It's about keeping alive a tradition that, while rooted in the past, is still deeply relevant today. The act of writing, the act of creating something that will endure, is a fundamental part of who we are as humans. It's how we communicate, how we share ideas, how we build our world. And though the method may change over time, the essence of the work remains the same. The scribes here, in this quiet, dimly lit room, are part of a long line of individuals who have dedicated themselves to the preservation and sharing of knowledge. Their work, while humble in its quiet way, is a reflection of the larger human endeavor to understand the world and to leave something behind for future generations. As the candles burn lower and the scribes begin to gather their manuscripts for the evening, there is a deep sense of peace in the room. The work is done for now, but the process continues. The scribes know that they will return again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, each time adding a little more to the collective work of the Scriptorium. Time moves slowly here, but there is a quiet urgency beneath the calm, for the scribes know that their work is part of something greater, a story that is still being written. And as they rise to leave for the night, their footsteps soft against the stone floor, you realize that the Scriptorium will always be here, a place where knowledge is preserved, a place where the past and the future come together in the quiet act of writing. As the door of the Scriptorium closes with a soft click behind you, you are left standing in the quiet stillness of the room, now empty of the bustling scribes who once filled it with the soft hum of their work. The faint, lingering smell of ink and parchment fills the air, mingling with the warmth of the embers still glowing in the hearth. You take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the silence press in around you. The room, though still and empty, seems to pulse with an energy of its own, a kind of quiet life that continues even in the absence of its creators. The walls, once filled with the sound of quills scratching across parchment, now hold only the echoes of the work that has been done. And yet there is something comforting about this emptiness. It's as if the room is waiting for the scribes to return tomorrow to continue the work that has been passed down through the generations. The quiet is not empty, but full of potential, full of history. As you stand there in the silence of the room, you begin to reflect on the significance of the work that has been done here. The scribes, in their painstaking dedication to the written word, have created something that transcends time. Each manuscript they crafted was not just a copy of words. It was a piece of their soul, a reflection of their devotion to the preservation of knowledge. It's hard not to be awed by the magnitude of what they've achieved. After all, this place, the Scriptorium, is not just a room. It is a vessel that holds centuries of wisdom, of thought, of ideas. It is a bridge between the past and the future, connecting those who wrote the words to those who will read them, generations yet unborn. And as you stand there, surrounded by the manuscripts that have been carefully, lovingly crafted, you can't help but feel a sense of reverence for the work that has been done here. The scribes may have left for the night, but their work is far from finished. The manuscripts they have created will continue to speak long after their creators have gone. Each page is a link in a chain that stretches back through the ages and forward into the future. The words on the page may be static, but the knowledge they carry is anything but. It will continue to grow, to evolve, to inspire those who come after. In this way, the work of the scribe is not just about writing, it's about leaving a legacy. It's about ensuring that the lessons of the past are never forgotten, that the wisdom of those who came before is passed on to those who will need it in the future. It's about creating something that will endure long after the world has changed. And as you look around the Scriptorium, with its faintly glowing candles and the soft glow of the hearth, you realize that this place is more than just a room. It is a sanctuary. a place where history is made, where knowledge is preserved. And though the scribes may have left for the night, their work continues in the manuscripts they have left behind. They may have physically departed, but their presence lingers in the words on the page. It's as if the Scriptorium itself holds a kind of quiet memory, a memory of the scribes who have worked here, of the knowledge that has been passed through these walls. The manuscripts themselves seem to pulse with life, their pages full of the words and thoughts of those who came before. There is a certain magic in that, isn't there? A kind of quiet, living magic that fills the air, a reminder that the work of the scribe is never truly done. And so, even as the night deepens and the scriptorium empties, the room remains full of history, full of meaning, full of life. You walk to one of the desks, gently running your fingers over the smooth, worn wood. The feel of it under your hand is familiar, comforting, as if the desk itself is a part of the story, a silent witness to the centuries of work that have passed through this room. It's not just the manuscripts that carry the legacy of the scribes. It's the very room itself, the space where all this work has been done. The Scriptorium is a testament to the dedication, the devotion, and the passion of those who have worked here. Every corner of this room tells a story that spans generations, a story that will continue to unfold long after the scribes have left. The quiet of the room deepens, and the flickering candlelight creates an almost dreamlike quality. The manuscripts are stacked neatly on the tables, their delicate pages awaiting the morning when the scribes will return to continue their work. The sense of anticipation in the air is almost tangible. You realize, in this moment, that the work of the scribes is not just about the present, it's about the future. It's about ensuring that the knowledge, the ideas, the wisdom of the past are preserved for those who will need them in the years to come. The Scriptorium is a place of preservation, of continuity, a place where the past is not forgotten but kept alive. It is a reminder that even in a world that is constantly changing, there are some things that endure. The written word is one of those things. It is timeless, unyielding, and it will continue to speak long after the scribes have gone. As the fire in the hearth flickers one last time, casting a soft light on the manuscripts and the worn desks, you realize that the work of the scribes is a work that never truly ends. They may have left for the night, but their words will remain. And as long as the written word endures, so too will their legacy. The Scriptorium may be empty now, but the work it has produced will echo through time, carrying with it the knowledge, the stories, and the wisdom of those who came before. And as you stand in the silence of the room, you can almost hear their voices whispers of the past, carried on the wind, reminding you that the work of the scribe is eternal. The quiet of the Scriptorium persists, even as the fire in the hearth grows dimmer. The stillness in the room seems almost unnatural, as if time itself is taking a deep breath and holding it. Yet within this hushed atmosphere, there is something strangely comforting, almost like a lullaby that softly envelops the entire space. It's in the subtle glow of the candlelight, now nearing its final flicker, casting shadows that stretch and curl across the stone walls. It's in the worn desks, the faint smell of ink, and the lingering traces of the day's work that still cling to the air like a ghostly presence. The scribes are gone, yes, but their spirit lingers in every corner of this room. Their presence is still felt, not in the physical sense, but in the intangible, almost sacred energy that pervades the space. Each manuscript, each carefully transcribed page, feels like a piece of them has been left behind, imprint of their soul preserved in ink. The Scriptorium is a temple to the written word, a place where knowledge is not just recorded, but revered. As you stand there, taking it all in, you begin to understand the significance of this space in a deeper way. It's not just the act of writing that makes the Scriptorium so important. It's the reverence with which the scribes approach their craft. There's a holiness to it, an almost ritualistic quality that transcends the mere physical act of putting ink on paper. Writing here is not just a job, it's a calling. It's a devotion to preserving something larger than oneself, something that will endure long after the scribe has gone. You can almost hear the whisper of their footsteps, feel the ghost of their hands as they moved across the manuscripts, creating letters and words that would shape the future. It's humbling, isn't it? To be in this space, to witness the silent dedication that fills the room. The scribes may have left for the night, but their work is far from over. The manuscripts they have crafted will continue to speak, carrying their knowledge and wisdom to generations yet unborn. It's this eternal cycle of creation and preservation that defines the Scriptorium. And as you stand there in the soft, golden glow of the candlelight, you can't help but feel a deep sense of awe for the work that has been done here. It's as if the room itself has become a living, breathing entity filled with the echoes of those who have worked here before. The scribes may be gone, but their presence is still very much alive. Their work, their dedication, their passion, they have left an indelible mark on this space, and that mark will endure. Each manuscript is a testament to their commitment to preserving knowledge, to ensuring that the wisdom of the past is never lost. And in that sense, the Scriptorium is not just a room, it is a bridge that spans time, linking the past to the future, carrying the voices of those who came before to those who will come after. It's a reminder that even in a world that is constantly changing, there are things that remain constant. Knowledge, for one, the written word, for another. These things have endured through the ages, carried forward by the hands of scribes, who understood their importance. And as the candles flicker out and the room falls into complete darkness, you realize that this work will never truly end. The scribes have gone home for the night, but they will return tomorrow and the day after. That they will continue their work, continuing the legacy of those who came before them, ensuring that the knowledge of the past will never fade away. As you step quietly across the room, you take one last look at the manuscripts that lie on the desks, their pages now settled into the stillness. Each one is a work of art in its own right, not just a collection of words, but a carefully crafted masterpiece. The illumination, the detailed scripts, the borders adorned with intricate designs, all of it tells a story. It's a story of dedication, of artistry, of commitment to a craft that transcends the individual and becomes something greater. The manuscripts are not just pages of text. They are a reflection of the soul of the scribe who wrote them. In each stroke of the quill, in each line of text, you can see the passion, the devotion, and the years of practice that have gone into creating these works of art. It's almost as if the manuscripts themselves are alive, filled with the essence of the scribes who created them. Even as you look at them now, you can almost hear their whispers, soft and gentle, carrying the voices of those who worked tirelessly to bring these manuscripts into existence. As you stand there in the near darkness, surrounded by these silent witnesses to history, you feel a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the scribes, for their dedication, for the knowledge they have preserved. Gratitude for the manuscripts, for the stories they tell and the wisdom they carry. Gratitude for the Scriptorium itself, for being a place of quiet contemplation and relentless focus, where knowledge is nurtured, where the written word is treated with the reverence it deserves. The scribes have left for the night, but their work continues in the manuscripts they have created. These pages, these words, these illuminated scripts will endure. They will be read, shared, and passed down through the generations. They will continue to inspire, to teach, to guide. The work of the scribes may never truly be finished, but that's what makes it so beautiful. There is no final, definitive end to the work they do. It is an ongoing process, a never-ending cycle of creation, preservation, and transmission. And in this quiet, darkened room, you understand that the Scriptorium is not just a place where manuscripts are created, it is a place where time itself is suspended. The scribes may leave, the candles may burn out, but the work of preserving knowledge, of writing the words that will shape the future, continues forever. And as you stand there, feeling the weight of that truth, you understand that this is the essence of the Scriptorium, a space where time, tradition, and knowledge converge in the quiet, sacred act of writing. The faint crackling of the last embers in the hearth is all that breaks the silence now. The Scriptorium has entered a state of peaceful repose, a state that seems to belong to no particular time or place. The candlelight has finally gone out, leaving behind a soft residue of warmth, and the room is enveloped in a cool, quiet stillness. It's strange, isn't it, how a place can seem so full of life and yet so empty at the same time. The scribes have long since gone to their rest, their work temporarily paused, and yet, even in their absence, the room is not empty. No, the space itself feels alive, filled with the echoes of their movements, the rustle of parchment, the scratch of quills. You can almost hear the murmurs of the scribes as they discussed techniques, debated the meanings of words, or shared brief moments of camaraderie as they worked side by side, all absorbed in the same sacred task. The room itself is like a living memory, an archive of silent moments that transcend the people who inhabit it. It holds within it the stories of countless scribes who have passed through these doors, each one adding their mark to the tapestry of human knowledge. You realize, standing here in the solitude of the Scriptorium, that the manuscripts themselves are not the only things that carry a legacy. The room, with its carefully carved wooden desks, its worn floors, its soot-stained walls, is a legacy of a different kind. It's a space that has held generations of scribes, each one leaving behind something more than just ink and parchment. They've left their essence, their time, their spirit embedded in the very structure of this place. The room has witnessed centuries of effort, each moment a part of a larger, ever-unfolding story. It's not just a space for writing, it's a sanctuary for thought, a cradle for the written word. A place where knowledge is not just passed on, but carefully nurtured. You stand in the middle of the room, your own presence so small against the vast history embedded in these walls. It's humbling, really. The weight of everything that has occurred here presses down on you, but it's not a burden. It's a reminder that you are part of something far larger than yourself, part of a continuum that stretches back to the earliest days of written history. You realize, in that moment, that the Scriptorium is not just a room, it's a symbol of human perseverance. It's a testament to the unyielding desire to preserve knowledge, to share ideas, to record thoughts and stories so that they may endure. In the face of everything that changes, this one truth remains. The written word is eternal, and here, in the Scriptorium, it is protected, nurtured, and carried forward. The ink on the manuscripts may fade, the parchment may become brittle, but the ideas, the wisdom, the lessons will live on. They will continue to shape the world, to influence lives, and to guide future generations. You can almost imagine the scribes returning in the morning, their faces bright with the quiet excitement that comes with the work they do here. They will enter the Scriptorium once more, and the room will come to life with the sound of quills. On parchment, the soft shuffle of feet on the stone floor, the quiet murmurs of concentration. And then, just like before, the rhythm of the room will settle into its familiar cadence. It will be a dance of ink and parchment, of words and ideas, all moving forward into the future. The work will continue just as it has for centuries. The Scriptorium will remain a place of creation, of preservation, of dedication to the written word. And you, standing here in the dim glow of the hearth, will know that you have witnessed something profound. The scribes may leave for the night, but their legacy never fades. It is passed on through the manuscripts they leave behind, through the quiet reverence with which they approach their craft, and through the endless flow of knowledge that continues to travel through time. As you take one last look around the room, you begin to understand the true meaning of what it means to be a scribe. It's not just about putting words on a page. It's about carrying forward a tradition, about being a part of something greater than yourself, about ensuring that the knowledge and wisdom of the past are not forgotten. It's about preserving the heart of humanity, the stories, the lessons, the experiences, and passing them down to future generations. The scribes' work is never done. It is a calling, a commitment, a lifelong journey. And in this sacred space, the work continues, a steady, eternal flow of ink and parchment, carrying with it the essence of the past and the hopes of the future. And so, as the night deepens, the Scriptorium, though empty of its scribes, remains full of history, full of purpose, full of a quiet, unwavering commitment to preserving the written word. The room is a monument to the power of knowledge, to the enduring strength of the written word. The scribes have come and gone, but their work, their legacy, will remain forever. And with that knowledge, you feel a quiet peace settle within you. For you know that the work of the scribe is not just about writing. It's about something deeper, something eternal, commitment to preserving what is important, to ensuring that the wisdom of the past is never lost. The Scriptorium, in all its quiet glory, is the living proof that knowledge is eternal, that the written word can transcend time and space, and that the work of the scribe will live on forever. As you stand in the empty Scriptorium, the air around you seems to hum with a kind of quiet anticipation, as if the space itself is waiting for the return of its scribes. The weight of history presses down gently on your shoulders, a silent reminder of the centuries of dedication that have been poured into this room, into the very act of preserving the written word. And yet, in this moment, everything feels frozen in time. The flickering light from the hearth has nearly died out, the last few embers casting a soft glow that illuminates the manuscripts laid out on the desks. The ink on the pages, though still fresh, has begun to settle, creating a sense of permanence, a feeling that everything in this room is a part of something larger, something that transcends the ephemeral nature of life itself. The Scriptorium is more than just a room. It is a living testament to the power of the written word, a sacred space where the past, present, and future all converge. You can almost feel the weight of the scribes who have come before you, their energy, their focus, and their commitment to this craft. In this quiet room, time seems to stretch, to fold in on itself. It's as if you are no longer just a visitor, but a part of something much larger. The silence, which at first seemed so overwhelming, now feels comforting, almost protective. It's as if the Scriptorium is offering you a place to pause, to reflect, and to appreciate the quiet beauty of what has been accomplished here. You take a slow, steady breath, and the smell of ink, parchment, and wax fills your senses. It's a familiar scent, one that brings a sense of peace and calm, and for a moment, you allow yourself to sink into it. The written word has always had this effect on people, the ability to ground them, to transport them to another time and place, to connect them with something greater than themselves. And here, in this sacred space, that connection feels particularly strong. The manuscripts that have been created within these walls are not just pages of text. They are portals to other worlds. Each manuscript tells a story, not just through the words written on the page, but through the careful strokes of the quill, the delicate illumination of the letters, and the painstaking attention to detail. The scribe's work is not just about transcription, it's about creation, about bringing something new into existence, something that will live on long after the scribe is gone. It's this deep sense of purpose, of devotion to the craft, that fills the Scriptorium with such a palpable energy. You can almost hear the soft scratch of quills on parchment, the faint rustling of pages being turned, the quiet murmur of voices as the scribes exchange thoughts and ideas. There is a rhythm to this place, a flow that feels timeless. And though the room may be empty now, you know that it will soon be filled again with the sounds of the scribes at work, each one adding their own mark to the collective legacy of the written word. As the fire in the hearth begins to die down, the room grows cooler, but it remains a space of quiet energy, a place where the past and future are forever intertwined. The manuscripts laid out on the desks are like seeds waiting to be planted, each one carrying with it the potential to shape the world in ways that are beyond the scribe's imagining. The ink, still wet on the pages, is a promise that the work begun here will never end, that it will continue to grow and evolve, to inspire and educate, to preserve the wisdom of the past and pass it on to those who will come after. You look around the room again, your eyes tracing the worn edges of the desks, the flickering candlelight that has cast long shadows on the walls, and the faded manuscripts that line the shelves. There is something both serene and awe-inspiring about this place. Something that makes you realize how small you are in comparison to the vastness of time and history. The scribes who have worked here before you have left their mark, not just on the manuscripts they've created, but on the very fabric of this space. Every corner of the room holds a memory, every desk, every chair, every scrap of parchment holds the traces of their dedication. And even though they are gone now, their legacy lives on in the work they've left behind. The Scriptorium is a living monument to the power of the written word, a testament to the importance of preserving knowledge, of passing it on from one generation to the next. It's easy to forget, in our fast-paced modern world, the significance of this work. But standing here, in the quiet of the Scriptorium, you can't help but feel a deep sense of reverence for the scribes who have dedicated their lives to this craft. They understood that their work was more than just a job. It was a calling, a sacred duty to ensure that the wisdom of the past would not be lost to the ravages of time. And though their work was often tedious, often painstaking, they carried it out with devotion and grace, knowing that they were contributing to something greater than themselves. And as you stand here, in the silence of the room, you realize that their work is far from over. The manuscripts they've created are not just words on paper, they are living, breathing entities that will continue to shape the world for generations to come. The knowledge they have preserved will continue to influence, to inspire, to guide those who come after. You can almost feel the weight of that knowledge pressing down on you, reminding you of the responsibility that comes with the written word. You understand, in this moment, that the work of the scribe is not just about writing. It is about ensuring that the stories of the past are never forgotten, that the lessons of history are passed on, and that the wisdom of the ages continues to resonate with those who will listen. The scribes may have left the Scriptorium for the night, but the work they have done will continue to echo through time, a testament to their dedication and their belief in the power of the written word. And though the room may be empty now, you know that it will soon be filled again, as the cycle of creation, preservation, and transmission continues, just as it has for centuries. The Scriptorium is a place where time seems to stand still, where the past and the future come together, and where the work of the scribe endures forever. The fire in the hearth has long since burned down to ash, leaving the Scriptorium cloaked in a deep, quiet darkness. The air is cooler now, tinged with the faint scent of smoke from the dying embers and the crisp, dry fragrance of parchment. You stand alone in the room, surrounded by the remnants of a day's labor, the quiet remnants of an ancient tradition that stretches back centuries. The manuscripts, still carefully arranged on the desks, seem to take on a new life in the absence of the scribes. It's as if they are waiting, holding their breath for the moment when the quills will return, and the rhythmic scratch of writing will begin once more. The stillness of the room is profound, almost sacred, and you can't help but feel the weight of the generations of scribes who have passed through here, each one leaving their mark on the very fabric of this space. The Scriptorium is not just a room, it is a living testament to the art of writing, to the preservation of knowledge, and to the quiet dedication of those who have devoted their lives to this sacred work. The silence that fills the room now is not one of emptiness, but one of reverence. In this silence, the Scriptorium feels like a sanctuary, a place where the past and the future come together, where knowledge is protected, nurtured, and passed on. It's hard to believe that something as simple as ink on parchment could hold such power, such significance, but in this room it does. The scribes have long since departed, but their work remains, suspended in the pages they have left behind. The ink is still wet on the parchment, the words still fresh, and as you look around, you realize that the work of the scribes will never truly end. The manuscripts they have created will continue to live, to breathe, and to inspire. Each page is a part of a larger story, a story that stretches back to the earliest days of written history, and a story that will continue long after the scribes are gone. As you stand there in the stillness of the Scriptorium, you begin to understand something profound, that the act of writing is not just about the words themselves, but about something much deeper. It's about preserving the essence of the human experience, about capturing the fleeting moments of time and ensuring that they are not lost. It's about creating something that will endure, something that will speak to generations yet unborn, offering them a glimpse into the past, a glimpse into the lives of those who came before. The scribes, in their quiet devotion to their craft, understood this. They understood that the written word had the power to transcend time, to carry knowledge and wisdom from one generation to the next. And as you stand in this room, surrounded by the tangible evidence of that devotion, you can't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude for the scribes who have dedicated their lives to this work. Without them, much of the knowledge and wisdom of the past would have been lost to time. Without them, the stories of the past would have faded into obscurity. But because of them, because of their careful, tireless work. That knowledge has been preserved, and it continues to shape the world today. The scribes may have left the Scriptorium for the night, but their work will continue. It will continue. In the pages of the manuscripts they have left behind, in the words that will be read and reread, in the lessons that will be passed down to future generations. And as the night deepens, as the room grows colder and quieter, you realize that the work of the scribe is never truly done. It is a work that transcends time, that reaches beyond the limitations of the human lifespan, and that ensures that the knowledge of the past will always be with us. The scribes may leave, but their legacy endures in the manuscripts, in the written word, in the very walls of the Scriptorium itself. You feel a sense of connection to the past, to the scribes who have come before you, and to the generations that will come after. The cycle of creation, preservation, and transmission continues, and it is in this cycle that the true power of the written word lies. As you stand in the center of the Scriptorium, the weight of history presses gently on your shoulders, but it is not a burden. It is a reminder that you are part of something much larger than yourself, something that stretches across time, something that will continue long after you are gone. The Scriptorium is not just a room, it is a symbol of the enduring power of knowledge, of the importance of preserving the past, and of the sacred work of the scribe. And though the scribes have left for the night, their work is far from over. It will continue in the manuscripts they have left behind, in the words that will be read, shared, and passed down to future generations. The work of the scribe is a labor of love, a calling that is not bound by time or space. It is a calling that transcends the individual and becomes part of something much greater. As you take one last look around the room, you feel a sense of quiet awe. The Scriptorium, though empty now, is filled with a silent energy, an energy that will continue to pulse through the room long after you have left. The scribes have gone, but their work remains, and in that work, their legacy endures. The Scriptorium is a place of continuity, a place where the written word is preserved, nurtured, and carried forward. It is a place where history is not just recorded, but made alive, a place where the past and the future meet. And though the scribes have left, their work is far from finished. The Scriptorium is eternal, and the written word will continue to shape the world, to guide it, to inspire it, for generations to come. As you turn to leave, you know that the Scriptorium will always be here, waiting, ready to continue the work that has been passed down through the ages. The scribes may be gone, but the work of the scribe is eternal. The silence of the Scriptorium is no longer a mere absence of sound. It has transformed into something more profound, a kind of reverence that envelops the room in a thick, almost tangible atmosphere. The candles have long since burned down, too. Their nubs, and the once bright embers in the hearth, have faded into the coolness of the night. But the space feels alive. It's as if the manuscripts themselves hum with energy, carrying the invisible echo of the scribes who have worked here, of the lives they've touched through their painstaking dedication to the written word. In the stillness, you feel it, pull of history, of continuity, of knowledge that transcends time. The room is not just a physical space. It is a living testament to the act of creation, to the transformative power of the written word. As you stand there, looking at the illuminated manuscripts spread out on the desks, you can't help but feel that the scribes who have worked here have left something of themselves behind in the ink, in the delicate artistry of the margins, in the careful arrangement of the words. Their devotion to their craft was not just about the transmission of knowledge. It was about creating something that would outlive them, something that would echo through the centuries, You reach out and run your fingers over the edge of one manuscript. It feels smooth and warm under your touch, the parchment still carrying the subtle imprint of the scribe's work, a quiet reminder that the act of creation is not a solitary one. The scribe is not just an individual laboring in isolation. They are part of a larger tradition, a shared human endeavor that spans generations. You feel this connection in the room, in the very air around you. The scribes may have left the room for the night, but their work remains. Their work, the work of creation, of preservation, of sharing wisdom, continues. The manuscripts that fill the shelves, that rest on the desks, that are scattered across the floor. Each one is a thread in the ever-growing tapestry of human knowledge. And you realize, standing in the quiet of the Scriptorium, that you too are now part of that tapestry. Your presence here, your awareness of the work that has been done, is a continuation of the effort to preserve the past, to pass down the wisdom and lessons of those who came before. The scribes may have been the ones to create the manuscripts, but it is those who read them, who engage with them, who carry their wisdom forward, that ensure their legacy lives on. There is a profound responsibility in that, isn't there? The responsibility to preserve the written word, to ensure that knowledge is not lost, that the voices of the past continue to be heard. And as you stand there in the silence, you feel the weight of that responsibility. It's not a burden, though. It's a gift, a privilege, to be able to connect with the thoughts, the ideas, the dreams of those who have come before. The scribes who worked here, whose hands crafted each letter, each illustration, each border, they understood something fundamental, that the written word is a bridge between the present and the past, between different cultures, between generations. They understood that the stories, the knowledge, the lessons that were captured in those manuscripts would not just inform their own time, but would carry the wisdom of their age forward into the future. It's this understanding that gave the scribes' work its enduring power. They were not just preserving knowledge for themselves, they were preserving it for those who would come after, for future generations who might never know their names, but whose lives would be shaped by the words they left behind. And as you look around the room, at the empty desks, the quiet manuscripts, the cool darkness of the night pressing in, you realize that this room, this scriptorium, is a microcosm of something larger. It's a symbol of human history, of the eternal cycle of creation, preservation, and transmission. In this room, knowledge is not just kept, it is nurtured, it is made to endure. The scribes who worked here may have had their own struggles, their own personal trials, but in the end, their work was about something much larger than themselves. It was about the preservation of the human experience. They understood that their task was not merely one of transcription, it was one of stewardship. They were caretakers of knowledge, and the manuscripts they created were not just their own creations. They were part of a larger, ongoing process, a process that began long before them and will continue long after them. The Scriptorium is a space where time feels malleable, where the past is not merely something to be studied or remembered, but something to be lived again. As the night stretches on and the room remains bathed in shadow, you begin to understand the deeper meaning of the scribe's work. The work was never about individual recognition or fame. It was about ensuring that the light of knowledge would never go out, that it would always be passed on, generation after generation. The written word is eternal, and the scribe is its quiet guardian. The Scriptorium, in all its stillness, is the place where this guardianship takes place. You feel it now in every corner of the room, in every manuscript that lies on the desk, in every flicker of candlelight that has long since dimmed. The work of the scribe is never truly done. It continues in the manuscripts they have created, in the words they have written, in the stories they have told. And though the scribes may leave, though the room may empty, the work of preservation, of creation, of transmission continues. The room may be still, but its legacy is alive, and it will continue to live on. The scribes may have gone to their beds for the night, but their work, their wisdom, is still here, waiting. It is in the manuscripts, in the ink, in the parchment. It is in the quiet stillness of the room. And it is in you now, as you stand in the center of the Scriptorium, feeling the weight of history around you, knowing that you too are a part of this larger story. You are connected to the scribes who have worked here, to the generations who will read their work, and to the endless cycle of creation that stretches across time. The Scriptorium may be empty, but it is never silent. The words, the wisdom, the legacy of the scribes are here, waiting to be passed on, to be carried forward into the future. And as you leave the Scriptorium, stepping into the cool night air, you know that the work of the scribe, though quiet, is eternal. The Scriptorium, though now quiet and still, seems to carry an echo of the energy that once filled its walls. It is hard to shake the feeling that the work of the scribes has left its indelible mark, not only on the manuscripts, but on the very space itself. Every corner of the room seems to whisper the history of those who have sat at these desks, who have labored tirelessly to preserve the knowledge of their time. And even now, in their absence, their presence is palpable, their work continuing to shape the air you breathe, the words that linger in the silence. The ink on the pages is no longer fresh, but its power remains undiminished. Each word, each sentence, each paragraph is a thread in the fabric of human history, and the Scriptorium is the loom where this tapestry is woven. It's strange, isn't it? How something as simple as ink on parchment can transcend its material form and become something so much more. You look around the room at the faint glow of the moonlight seeping through the narrow windows, casting soft shadows on the worn stone floors. The scribes have left for the night, but their work is far from over. The manuscripts they have left behind continue to breathe, continue to pulse with the knowledge they have imparted. You can almost hear the quiet murmur of their voices as they worked together, each one absorbed in their task, each one contributing to the larger project of preserving knowledge, passing on the wisdom of the past to future generations. And yet, even as you stand in the room, surrounded by the remnants of their labor, you realize that their work is not just about the manuscripts themselves. It's about something deeper, something more profound. The work of the scribe is an act of faith. It is an act of belief in the power of words, in the idea that knowledge has the power to shape the future, to influence the course of history. The scribes, in their quiet devotion to their craft, understood this. They understood that the written word has the power to transcend time, to carry the thoughts, the ideas, the dreams of one generation to the next. It is a bridge between the past and the future, a link in the chain of human history. And standing here in the Scriptorium, you can feel that connection, that sense of continuity that stretches back through the centuries. The scribes were not just creating books, they were creating a legacy. They were building something that would endure long after they were gone. And in this room, where that legacy was born, you can feel the weight of their efforts. The manuscripts they created, though still, though quiet, continue to speak. They speak of the world they lived in, of the knowledge they possessed, of the lessons they learned. And even though the scribes themselves are no longer here, their work lives on in the pages they left behind. In the ink they put to paper, in the words they carefully crafted. The Scriptorium is not just a room, it is a place of preservation. It is a sanctuary for knowledge, a place where the written word is protected, nurtured, and passed on to future generations. The scribes, in their humility, understood that they were part of something larger than themselves. They understood that their work was not about them. It was about the knowledge they were preserving, the wisdom they were passing on. And in that understanding, they found their purpose. The Scriptorium is a place where time becomes fluid, where the boundaries between past, present, and future begin to blur. You can feel it in the air, the sense that you are not just a visitor in this space, but a part of its story. The manuscripts that lie on the desks, the shelves that hold volumes of knowledge, they are all part of an ongoing journey, a journey that stretches through the ages. The scribes may have left, but their work continues, carried forward by the knowledge they have preserved. You realize that the scribes were not just creating books, they were creating a bridge, a link between the past and the future, between the wisdom of one generation and the potential of the next. In that sense, their work is eternal. The Scriptorium is a place where time seems to stand still, where the work of the past meets the promise of the future. The scribes may be gone, but their work remains. It remains in the pages they created, in the words they wrote, in the wisdom they passed on. And it will continue to remain, continuing to influence and inspire those who come after. As you stand, in the quiet of the room, you are filled with a sense of reverence, a sense of gratitude for those who have come before, for the scribes who have labored in this space, who have dedicated their lives to the preservation of knowledge. Their work is not just about writing, it is about ensuring that the stories of the past are never forgotten, that the lessons learned are passed down, that the wisdom of previous generations continues to guide the world long after their voices have fallen silent. The scribes have done their part. They have created a legacy, a bridge between the past and the future. And now, as the night deepens and the Scriptorium falls into complete stillness, you know that the work of the scribe is far from over. It will continue in the manuscripts they left behind, in the knowledge they preserved, and in the generations who will read and learn from their words. The work of the scribe is never truly done. It is a work that transcends time, a work that continues to evolve, to shape the world, to influence the future. And as you leave the Scriptorium, you carry with you the quiet realization that you are part of this ongoing story, part of the continuum that stretches back through the ages and forward into the future. The scribes may have left, but their work remains. It is etched into the very fabric of the room, into the manuscripts they created, and into the minds and hearts of those who continue to learn from them. And in that, you find a sense of peace, knowing that the work of the scribe, the work of preserving knowledge and passing it on, will never truly end. It will continue as long as there are those who are willing to listen, to learn, and to share the wisdom of the past with those who come after. The legacy of the scribe is eternal, and the Scriptorium is a living testament to that enduring truth. The Scriptorium, though now quiet and still, seems to carry an echo of the energy that once filled its walls. It is hard to shake the feeling that the work of the scribes has left its indelible mark, not only on the manuscripts, but on the very space itself. Every corner of the room seems to whisper the history of those who have sat at these desks, who have labored tirelessly to preserve the knowledge of their time. And even now, in their absence, their presence is palpable, their work continuing to shape the air you breathe, the words that linger in the silence. The ink on the pages is no longer fresh, but its power remains undiminished. Each word, each sentence, each paragraph is a thread in the fabric of human history, and the Scriptorium is the loom where this tapestry is woven. It's strange, isn't it? How something as simple as ink on parchment can transcend its material form and become something so much more. You look around the room at the faint glow of the moonlight seeping through the narrow windows, casting soft shadows on the worn stone floors. The scribes have left for the night, but their work is far from over. The manuscripts they have left behind continue to breathe, continue to pulse with the knowledge they have imparted. You can almost hear the quiet murmur of their voices as they worked together, each one absorbed in their task, each one contributing to the larger project of preserving knowledge, passing on the wisdom of the past to future generations. And yet, even as you stand in the room, surrounded by the remnants of their labor, you realize that their work is not just about the manuscripts themselves. It's about something deeper, something more profound. The work of the scribe is an act of faith. It is an act of belief in the power of words, in the idea that knowledge has the power to shape the future, to influence the course of history. The scribes, in their quiet devotion to their craft, understood this. They understood that the written word has the power to transcend time, to carry the thoughts, the ideas, the dreams of one generation to the next. It is a bridge between the past and the future, a link in the chain of human history. And standing here in the Scriptorium, you can feel that connection, that sense of continuity that stretches back through the centuries. The scribes were not just creating books, they were creating a legacy. They were building something that would endure long after they were gone. And in this room, where that legacy was born, you can feel the weight of their efforts. The manuscripts they created, though still, though quiet, continue to speak. They speak of the world they lived in, of the knowledge they possessed, of the lessons they learned. And even though the scribes themselves are no longer here, their work lives on in the pages they left behind, in the ink they put to paper, in the words they carefully crafted. The Scriptorium is not just a room, it is a place of preservation. It is a sanctuary for knowledge, a place where the written word is protected, nurtured, and passed on to future generations. The scribes, in their humility, understood that they were part of something larger than themselves. They understood that their work was not about them. It was about the knowledge they were preserving, the wisdom they were passing on. And in that understanding, they found their purpose. The Scriptorium is a place where time becomes fluid, where the boundaries between past, present, and future begin to blur. You can feel it in the air, the sense that you are not just a visitor in this space, but a part of its story. The manuscripts that lie on the desks, the shelves that hold volumes of knowledge, they are all part of an ongoing journey, a journey that stretches through the ages. The scribes may have left, but their work continues, carried forward by the knowledge they have preserved. You realize that the scribes were not just creating books, they were creating a bridge, a link between the past and the future, between the wisdom of one generation and the potential of the next. In that sense, their work is eternal. The Scriptorium is a place where time seems to stand still, where the work of the past meets the promise of the future. The scribes may be gone, but their work remains. It remains in the pages they created, in the words they wrote, in the wisdom they passed on. And it will continue to remain, continuing to influence and inspire those who come after. As you stand, in the quiet of the room, you are filled with a sense of reverence, a sense of gratitude for those who have come before, for the scribes who have labored in this space, who have dedicated their lives to the preservation of knowledge. Their work is not just about writing. It is about ensuring that the stories of the past are never forgotten, that the lessons learned are passed down, that the wisdom of previous generations continues to guide the world long after their voices have fallen silent. The scribes have done their part. They have created a legacy, a bridge between the past and the future. And now, as the night deepens and the scriptorium falls into complete stillness, you know that the work of the scribe is far from over. It will continue in the manuscripts they left behind, in the knowledge they preserved, and in the generations who will read and learn from their words. The work of the scribe is never truly done. It is a work that transcends time, a work that continues to evolve, to shape the world, to influence the future. And as you leave the scriptorium, you carry with you the quiet realization that you are part of this ongoing story, part of the continuum that stretches back through the ages and forward into the future. The scribes may have left, but their work remains. It is etched into the very fabric of the room, into the manuscripts they created, and into the minds and hearts of those who continue to learn from them. And in that, you find a sense of peace, knowing that the work of the scribe, the work of preserving knowledge and passing it on, will never truly end. It will continue as long as there are those who are willing to listen, to learn, and to share the wisdom of the past with those who come after. The legacy of the scribe is eternal, and the scriptorium is a living testament to that enduring truth. As you take one last look around the scriptorium, the room seems to breathe with the quiet murmur of history. The silence, once oppressive, now feels comforting, as if the very walls themselves are holding you in a soft embrace, urging you to linger for just a moment longer. The manuscripts, those painstakingly crafted treasures, rest silently on the desks, their fragile parchment holding the weight of centuries. The ink on the pages has long since dried, yet its power endures. A testament to the careful hands that once traced the letters and adorned the margins with intricate illuminations. It's hard to believe that something so humble, just ink and parchment, can carry so much weight, so much history. But as you stand there in the heart of the scriptorium, you realize that it's not the material form of the manuscripts that makes them significant. It's the knowledge, the stories, the wisdom that they contain. Each manuscript is a repository of human experience, a window into the past that offers a glimpse of the thoughts, beliefs, and dreams of those who came before. The scribes, with their steady hands and focused minds, were the guardians of this knowledge, ensuring that it would survive long after their own lives had faded into the mists of time. It's almost as if the scribes are still here, watching over their work, whispering their quiet approval. You can almost feel the echo of their presence in the air, their energy lingering in the room, in the very fabric of the manuscripts they left behind. The scriptorium is more than just a place of work. It is a sanctuary for knowledge, a sacred space where the past is preserved and passed on to the future. The scribes were not just transcribing words, they were creating a legacy. Their work was an act of faith in the power of the written word. Faith that the stories they told would continue to resonate through the ages. They understood that the written word has the ability to transcend time, to connect people across generations, to bridge the gap between the past and the future. And it is in this understanding that the true significance of their work lies. It wasn't just about preserving knowledge for the sake of preservation. It was about ensuring that the wisdom of the past would continue to shape the future. As you stand there in the quiet stillness of the scriptorium, you are struck by the enormity of what has taken place here. The scribes, in their dedication, have created something that will never be lost, something that will continue to endure. The manuscripts they have left behind are more than just relics. They are living, breathing entities that carry with them the legacy of those who came before. The ink, though dry, still pulses with life. The words, though static, still speak. The Scriptorium is not just a place where knowledge is kept. It is a place where knowledge is made eternal. And it is in this eternity that the work of the scribe continues. The scribes, in their quiet devotion to their craft, understood that they were not just writing for themselves. They were writing for future generations, for those who would come after them, who would read their words, who would learn from their wisdom. And as the night stretches on, as the room settles into a deeper silence, you realize that this work is never truly done. It will continue, passed down from one generation to the next, each person adding their own mark to the legacy that the scribes began. The act of writing, of recording, of preserving knowledge is a never-ending cycle. And you, standing here in this sacred space, are now a part of that cycle. The scribes may have long since left, but their work lives on. It lives on in the pages that are left behind, in the words that continue to resonate, in the lessons that are passed down. The Scriptorium is not just a room. It is a symbol of the eternal nature of knowledge. It is a place where the past and the future come together, where the written word serves as a bridge between the generations. As you take one final breath, inhaling the familiar scent of parchment, ink, and wax, you understand the significance of what has taken place here. The scribes have created a legacy that will never be forgotten, that will never fade away. Their work, though quiet, is eternal. It will continue, passed down through the ages, carried forward by those who come after. The work of the scribe is not just about words on a page. It is about preserving the very essence of human experience. It is about ensuring that the stories, the knowledge, the wisdom of one generation are not lost to time, but are carried forward into the future. As the last flicker of candlelight fades from the room, you know that the Scriptorium will never truly be empty. The work of the scribes is alive in the manuscripts that fill the shelves, in the words that have been carefully transcribed, in the legacy that continues to shape the world. And though the scribes may have left, their work is far from finished. It will continue, carried forward by those who understand the importance of preserving the past, who understand that the written word has the power to transcend time. The Scriptorium is a place where the past never truly fades. It is a place where knowledge endures, where the written word continues to echo through the ages. And you, as a witness to that legacy, are part of something much larger than yourself. A part of the never-ending cycle of creation, preservation, and transmission. You leave the Scriptorium, stepping out into the cool night air, but you carry with you the understanding that the work of the scribe will never truly end. The scribes may be gone, but their work remains, and it will continue to live on, shaping the future, one word at a time.